Hi, I'm Tom Marks with the Marks Law Firm in Orlando, Florida, and welcome to the Healthy Family Law Attorney. Today, we're going to talk about how to avoid harming your children during the divorce. And this is right in line with the purpose of our channel here. My purpose is because I believe your family matters. I want to provide hope and help to your family to successfully navigate the family law process in a healthy way. And to help us do that today, I have a special guest, a longtime friend, therapist, Jim West. Jim is the president of Total Life Counseling Center. He has specialists in his counseling therapy practice that do marriage and family issues, play therapy, trauma, addiction, self-esteem, and more. Jim connects with children, teenagers, adolescents, and young adults in Orlando. He has offices in Lake Mary, Clermont, and East Orlando. He also has clients all over the state of Florida and in Georgia and the Bahamas. I'd like to hear about that a little bit. But he treats clients with ADHD, anxiety, mood disorders, depression, and more. And one thing I like about Jim is he has supplements that are FDA approved and dietary medications at an 85% effective rate. So I know that's a lot, Jim. Welcome aboard. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So, President, we actually are in seven locations now. Our Total Life, we have a South Florida office in Boca. We have Winter Park as well. And then South Orlando, Metro West is our main location. So, but it's good to be here. You are a good friend, Tom. We've been working together, trying to, help kids, weather the storm. I went through divorce myself. And one of the things that really helped me was learning to have, forgiveness and understanding our parents are not perfect and that they weren't saying mean things about each other, and so that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. And that's what really helped me was just not, having amicable parents and having parents that, that really helped me weather the storm of divorce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you have a beautiful wife and a couple of beautiful kids, and your wife is a therapist too, right?
That's right. She's a counselor, and I got a 6-year-old girl who's Mia, and Jimmy, who's 3.5. So, awesome. It's a lot of fun. Keeps me young.
I'm sure. Keeps you on your toes. So, okay, let's try to see what we can do to help our viewers avoid hurting the children in a divorce or a paternity case when they have kids together. So can you give us a couple of examples to start off how to avoid hurting the kids when you're going through these things?
Right. There's actually 40 avoidable common mistakes that parents make when they get divorced. We're going to just kind of gloss over like 10 of those, the 10 biggest ones that I see. And of course, that is the fighting, between, the parents or in front of the kids, so we're working with families currently and they're, not doing that anymore or chasing a parent through the house. They're just going into another room to have a conversation and trying to agree in front of the kids, but disagree behind closed doors. So, and try to come to a conclusion or try to have some type of agreement before they leave their bedroom, where they can, and if not, then we try to help them in our follow-up sessions to find that agreement, so that when they go talk to the kids, they're on the same page. So that's a big one. That's one of the big ones that we see. And they also sometimes use the kids as messengers. Well, tell your mom this or ask your mom. I just had a parent tell me that yesterday, and I'm like, oh, no, don't do that. It's so nice to talk before they get divorced. I have a family that's going to get divorced. And so we're trying to help them, not use the kids as messengers. If they have to use an email app or if they have to, talk to us and help us to mediate that, we highly recommend that. But don't ask the kids to be, the messenger. Like if they want something, instead, they'll go, oh, well, ask your mom because I gave her money for that. I give her money, to pay for those things. And so that puts the kids in the middle. And then the moms will say, oh, no, your dad's supposed to pay for that. That's not included. And then the dad will say, oh, I gave your mom a check for, $500 this month or $1,000 or $1,500, and the kids are like, look, you guys just figure this out. I don't want to be in the middle. Right. So those are some things that are really important to be careful about.
Right. So, in the law, we call it shared parental responsibility, and the court's looking at which parent is doing what is, quote, in the best interest of the minor children. And so the court wants them to co-parent in a healthy way. And so those are two great examples to avoid hurting the kids. So let's talk about what happens when the parents put the child in a parenting role.
Right. So that's really heavy on kids. So sometimes parents, they don't have anybody to talk to, like a therapist or a friend, a peer that they can talk to. And so then they'll vent to the kids, and tell them their problems. And they're even sometimes, maybe if a parent's struggling with a mental health issue, and they're telling them about those problems and they're venting to them. And it's really, really heavy on the kids. So we try to say to the parents, hey, talk to us, like vent to us. Let's get you some support. Maybe it's a group at church, divorce support, where you can go and you can talk about how you're feeling, but don't talk about like adult heavy burdens with your kids. It's way too much. And the kids are already, especially teenagers, middle schoolers and teenagers, they're under a lot of pressure already. We don't need to put that additional pressure on them.
Yeah, that's important, to have somebody they can talk to, like a therapist, obviously, or, as you mentioned, divorce care groups, or a trusted friend, and so forth. One thing I hear from my clients that are parents of children is that, let's say, typically or stereotypically, mom says dad only gets or sees the kids every other weekend, and he's just the Disney dad. He just does all these fun things with them. He doesn't have to really put them, to bed at night and make them do their homework and all that. So talk to me about this Disney parent thing.
I hear this one all the time. And, when people are married, the dads oftentimes are big kids and they play with the kids. In fact, there was a Penn State study. I did a news interview about this, on Fox 35 about 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, about this issue, like not specifically this issue, but why dads have so much influence on their kids more than the moms. And it's because we play more with the kids and we engage them more in sports. We go to their practice. And again, I know moms do it too, but I'm just saying that in general, dads tend to do more of that, where moms are about get your elbows off the table, chew with your mouth closed and brush your teeth and go to bed, which these are all important together. It works really well. But then all of a sudden, and of course we get the dads to back up the moms when there's consequences, and, if they're not listening, and they back them up, and the dads have more influence because they do play with them more. Right. So, but then what happens is when they separate, all of a sudden the dads are, now, doing the same role, but, and of course, if they have them on the weekends, they don't have to make them do their homework. They don't have as many chores maybe at their house. And so they're just going out and they're playing with them. They're doing fun things with them to keep that influence and just keep doing what they're doing. But it's interesting how sometimes that's a negative thing somehow, that all of a sudden the dads continue to do that. And now they're now a bad, a Disney parent, right? So, we do talk to parents about that. And then, of course, at the same token, we do talk to the dads and say, hey, you should have the same bedtime that they have at home. Or if it's on the weekend, whatever the weekend bedtime is at their mom's house, try to find some common ground there and have the same bedtime rules, same chores, make your bed, pick up, so we try to do that as well to get the dads to have the kids do things that aren't fun necessarily when they're at their house, so that mom doesn't look like the bad parent, or the negative parent, or the mean parent, or the strict parent, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. So let's hit another topic. What about dating in front of the kids? Either
the research,
the divorce.
Yeah, that is so hard on the kids, and so we do recommend that the parents wait about a year after the divorce, or if they're going to date, to wait till, to not date in front of the kids, but wait about a year for the divorce to be final, because up until the point, you could be separated for years, and And, before the divorce is finalized, we hope it doesn't take that long, but if it, we know that, whatever you decide to do, try not to date one of the kids until it's finalized, because once it is finalized, then there's a grieving process, and the kids fantasize about their parents getting back together again. We really need to help them with that in that next year. So try to keep that. And, of course, on the weekends, oftentimes too, even after a year, if they're with somebody or they have a girlfriend that's at the house when the kids are there, we try to tell the parents that, that especially the parents that just have on the weekends, to maybe try to schedule time where it's just you without their boyfriend or their girlfriend on the weekend. Just try to have some, I understand that if they're thinking about getting married again, they need to, introduce that person, but they also need to try to have some time just to themselves, with their kids.
Yeah.
They, kids go from 100% of their time with their parents, to then splitting that 100% to now 50%. And then when the parents start to date, now they're getting 25%, like half of that time, if that, and they're not really getting alone time, with you. So you really need to try to maximize that time with your kids and have what we call unconditional fun. Like, even if they've had a bad week, still have fun with them, and that goes a long way, especially with kids that are like ADHD or defiant. It goes a long way to get them to listen and to, it actually helps them be less defiant by having that unconditional fun.
Right. And I know that kids are under so much pressure nowadays with having gone through the pandemic and other influencers in their lives. And you want to have as much time as you possibly can with your children. Gary Chapman said that the amount of quality time, so the quantity of quality time with your kids directly correlates to how much college they finish. And then the opposite is true with how much time they, the likelihood that they would get arrested or, spend the night in jail or have trouble with the law. So it's interesting how it pays off in more ways than one, by spending that quality time with them, whether they're having a bad week or not. Right. Yeah, I've even heard somebody say that, how do kids spell love? Time.
That's cool. I like that. That's good.
Okay, so another area that I see that really hurts kids is when a parent makes promises that they can't keep.
Sure. Right. So, yes. So they, when they're like, yes, we're going to, if they make a promise and they don't keep it, that's really, painful. They may feel bad about the divorce. They may feel bad about the pain their kids are feeling because of the divorce. And so they may make promises and then they can't follow through. They can't make it happen. And, of course, when people get divorced, the income is being split now as well. And, now there's two homes to be maintained. And so there's, the parents, I was just talking to a dad yesterday. It's like, I'm not going to have the same amount of money for because now we've got two houses to take care of, and we're not going to, and we're spending money on the attorneys right now, mediation. And so we're not going to have, the money to do the things that we wanted to do if the home family was intact. Right. So just talking to parents about, let's work through those feelings that you have for your kids, and let's talk about it, but let's don't make promises to them, because they're just going to get mad about that. They're going to get more and more angry and hurt about that. And they're already going through enough right now.
Yeah. So another issue that I look at or see fairly often is when one parent is kind of making the kids feel like that parent's the good parent and the other parent's the bad parent. Tell us, how does that impact the kids?
I had this conversation a few weeks ago with a dad, and, we had a parent session, and he said something negative about the mom, and it really hurt his kids, and they got upset and started crying, and I said, the most upsetting thing you can do is to say something bad about their parents, their mom, the one that you had a wedding with and loved, and I know you guys aren't doing well right now, but I'm just saying that, it's just, that's their mom, and you cannot win. Nobody can win saying something bad about their mom or their dad. It's really rare that you're going to win, but that's like one of the most damaging things. It's like a patriarch, matriarch, or a parent or mom say something bad about the other parent, no matter, even if it's true, it's still very painful. So we try to, in fact, I have the 10 avoidable mistakes that parents make checklist in my office, and I have the kids grade the parents. I have them put an M or a D next to it. And then I have the parents grade themselves, not the other parent. And I have that question on there. I say, do you say things bad? And it just sets the bar for the beginning of our therapy when we give them that checklist. It really sets the bar, and they know, like, the kids are going to be grading them and watching, and the kids now know these are wrong to do. It just sets the bar right at the beginning. And it's really neat to see how that really settles things down and calms things down. And we just talk to the parents and go, look, these are common mistakes. These happen. You're not a bad parent because you've done it. But now that you know, let me help you, to navigate this. And what do you say, when this happens? And let's say, like, a kid hears something from a parent, I'll just tell them, say, hey, can we just talk about dad? Dad, can we talk about you while we're here? Can we talk about me and you and my life and what's going on with me? Can I talk about what's going on with your life, Dad? I spend half the week with Mom. Can we just talk about you? And then most parents are like, that kind of reminds them of the checklist. Oh, that's right. It's a nice little realignment. It's something safe the kids can say. And if they don't feel good to say it, then I talk to the parents, for them when the kids gives me permission, when they feel comfortable, for me to do that.
Yeah, I think of it in terms of, like, if kids are 50% DNA of mom, 50% DNA of dad.
That's true.
If you're saying something bad about mom or dad, well, isn't it like you're saying something bad about kids too?
It's horrible.
So, yeah, that's really important. So, okay, last two topics: different rules at mom's house and dad's house, and how that can impact the kids. And what about talking about money to the kids? I know you addressed that a little bit earlier on about mom, dad.
Yeah, we did pretty. Yeah, about the rules, just trying to have similar rules. And, like, I remember this one family that's out of the area that I work with through Zoom. And they, we got them, there was 5 things there was a disagreement, and we got them to agree. We got the parents to agree on 4 of the 5, which I was like, wow, this is great. And one of them was like a helmet, I think, like wearing a bike helmet, where mom wanted him to wear it at her house and dad didn't really care if he wore it. And I was like, well, okay, so that's pretty good, right? So at least we got 4 out of 5. And for the most part, the parents were pretty happy with that. If they feel like, because I know it's the law, for the kids to wear the helmets. So, that's not, my jurisdiction. The parents can deal with that, talk to their attorney if they really feel like there's a big issue or something that, is just, not negotiable or it is legal problem, then they could talk to get some advice from their family law attorney on that. But just trying to get them on the same page is that also helps them not make one parent look like a Disney parent, the other parent like this mean parent. And it's actually really good for the kids, because honestly, kids that tend to be defiant will like gravitate toward the parent of least resistance, or the one that has the least amount of rules, or the Disney parent, or the fun parent, and then they have more influence, and then they may not be able to, like, anyway, it's just a really slippery slope. So it's really nice to be on the same page. And then the other one was the money matters, right? And that, we did allude to that too. Just trying to getting that really clear with your family law attorney, about like who pays for what, and not making the kids go back and forth. And again, we try to help the parents be amicable so they can just talk about it. And if they can't come to an agreement, we try to help them. And of course, if that doesn't work, then we encourage them to talk to their attorney, and maybe if it's high conflict, they'll have a parent coordinator or guardian ad litem that can help them. Yeah.
I think those are great points. You mentioned earlier in the video, some new locations that you have, like in South Florida. And I really haven't mentioned that in my videos that, because of like Microsoft Teams and Zoom, we can handle hearings outside of Central Florida.
Sure.
I actually just brought on an attorney over in the Tampa area, so we're handling cases in the Tampa
Oh,
area.
that's good to know. That's great to know, because that thing I was talking about is over on that side of the over on the. That's really good to know.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's been a kind of a blessing in disguise, if there are any, with the pandemic. So we try to stay positive and focused. And of course, this is the healthy family law attorney. And so I need to know from you, Jim, do you have any healthy tips for our viewers today?
With all the stress that, of people going through divorce, and of course, I know the pandemics, I know people may watch this after the pandemic. I mean, I know it's winding down, hopefully, right? But just work-life balance is so important. We speak to professional athletes, about this. We work with Major League Baseball and the NBA, and, we work with other professional athletic organizations. And so we talk about this. We do corporate talks for them and corporate talks for companies and schools, and work-life balance is one of the big topics. It's like, how do we, especially people on the road that travel, right? How do we have that balance and making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, that we have that what we call white space, which is where we create memories and we have fun and we unplug. And so I tell people on the weekends, man, our family, we play hard. And, for those of you that might be going through divorce or have been through divorce, once you start to heal and you work through your pain, try to, make sure you have a date night, in a new relationship. Because a lot of people get divorced because they say they fall out of love. So making sure you have that date night, because my wife and I just love it. And we're so frustrated when we can't have that weekly time away, to just go, even if it's just an hour. I know some people go to church and they have like a way to drop their kids off for 2 hours at their church. I can't what they call it. I think it's like Mom's Day Out, or it's youth group, or it's Royal, basket, whatever it is. Like, if it's even just 2 hours, you drop your kid off so you don't have to get a sitter, and you can go to dinner, right? And just making sure you have fun and you're having that work-life balance and making that time. So and of course having it with the family, but also having time to recharge yourself. So work-life balance.
All right, work-life balance. I think that's a great tip, healthy tip for our viewers. So if you enjoyed the channel today, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hitting that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. We're coming out with new legal videos every Wednesday and new interviews every Friday. So this interview, I think it's a little bit longer, but it was like hitting those things that we want to avoid during a divorce that hurt the kids. And Jim, I think you hit a home run. Thanks so much for being part of the channel.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. My pleasure. It's good to be a part of this. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. So we'll see you, our viewers, on the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tom.